Anime Vanguards is currently the most popular anime tower defense game on Roblox. And like players typically do with the anime tower defense genre, we immediately look for the best way to make as much progress as possible. While it is possible to use Tiny Task, this comes with some hidden consequences. Unfortunately, Tiny Task is not very good at retaining your inputs, so even if you perfectly execute all your movements setting up Tiny Task, it might just straight up not work once it's played. And if there's any lag or your screen freezes for a couple seconds, your entire macro is straight up just cooked. And because there is no webhook support for Tiny Task, if your macro just stops working suddenly, you will have zero idea until you come back to your computer. And needless to say, if you're using Tiny Task, you're gonna have to go through the process of recording your actions for the setup. So I'm gonna cut to the chase. I found the best macro for Anime Vanguards, and it trivializes all of the drawbacks of Tiny Task. Inconsistency, setup, macro status information, it solves all of these issues. It has airtight consistency, hardly ever messes up, and there's zero setup. And with the excellent webhook support, you'll have a channel that displays the macro functioning correctly, updating with every restart of the level, and if something does happen to interrupt your macro, and it's unable to restart itself, you'll receive a ping that your macro has stopped so that you can fix it. The name of this macro is Senya's macro, and with all these benefits, it is leagues better than Tiny Task. So that being said, let me walk you guys through the very simple installation process of Senya's macro. So, you're going to begin your journey by going to the Senya's macro Discord server, which I'll keep the link for that in the description below. So the first place we're going to go to is the macro basics channel, and then we're going to click the basics checklist. Go ahead and go through here and configure your Roblox and PC settings accordingly. Make sure you lock in when we're installing these macro files, and make sure you follow these special rules right here. Then we're going to go to registration, and we're going to install engine.dll. Senya's macros all requiring this file in order to function properly. You're going to need this file. Then we're going to install the exe and astat of the registration file for the macro. Now we're going to actually be purchasing the macro. So for this, we're going to be going to the Senya macros channel. Here you can see a plethora of the benefits of the macro, but more importantly, at the very bottom of this channel, you'll see a purchase ticket that we can open. The current pricing is $10 for the base macro. Go ahead and open that up and input a command to indicate which payment method you are going to use for the macro, and then you'll receive a link to the macro guide. And once paid for, a moderator will take your ticket, and then they'll have you use a whitelist file to allow your computer to access the macro. And now if we navigate to the paid macros category, we'll see our brand new AV macro channel right here. And now we're going to just install the exe and astat of the newest version of the macro. If you're already whitelisted by the moderators, then you should be good to go at this point. Now as far as actually using the macro at this point in time, if you're using remote desktop, enter your remote desktop. If you're not using one, this should work just as fine. But the remote desktop will make the process separate from your actual computer, so you can play other games or idle on multiple accounts and macro multiple accounts. I'll have a link for that right here for the remote desktop tutorial in the top right. Now, I just keep a shortcut of my macro right here for ease of access. Make sure it's a shortcut and not the actual macro, or this won't work. Your Windows Defender Smart Screen is going to call it an unrecognized app. For security, we're just going to bypass this by clicking more info and run anyway. Now we're going to insert a webhook link. If you don't have one, you can find one in my Discord server, which you can join through the links in the description below, and navigate to the public webhook channel. Go to pinned messages, and you'll find this message right here with the webhook link attached to it. Copy that and paste it into your macro and try test ping. And if you're pinged successfully, then it should work for your macro. Then you're going to want to create a free private server for Anime Vanguards, and once created, we're going to go configure the private server and scroll down to the server link and copy that, paste that into your macro. From here, you can tweak a few different settings. If you're macroing for the story like I am, you do it like this, where you just select your map, select which act you want to do, and then choose your difficulty. Press done, and from here the macro is going to take over and open my game for me using the PS link, and will go into the levels and farm for me until I stop it. Now Senya's macro was recently updated with a new UI that can have custom settings, but if you just want to get right into using the macro, there's some preset setting files in Senya's Discord server in the AV guides channel. Right here, just install the text files for whichever specific settings you need, and then load them within your macro to have everything set up for you. I've had very good experiences with this macro. And generally speaking, with Senya as a macro developer for a long time, he also develops macros for a game I play a lot on my channel called Mighty Omega. I don't know if you heard of that, but it's Mighty. And his macros are definitely the best in the game, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure that should carry over into anime Vanguards as well. I can 100% vouch for these macros because they have a lot of support for users. They have complete automation. And most importantly, they are safe and free of malware. I've had a AV macro running for over 24 hours, and I only ever stopped it to summon on a good banner, and then I had it resume for another 24 hours. So it is great. I can't recommend it enough. It's super consistent. With that being said, though, I hope you guys have good luck with the macro. Take care and have a good one.